So this is Dan of Vagabond Awake, and you probably recognize the man sitting next to me. I think this is your 5th interview with me, isn't it?
Yeah, this is number 5. We had the first 2 in Playa del Carmen, and we did 2 in Bali,
Yeah,
which was amazing.
right.
And now I've switched gears. I'm here in the Philippines.
Yeah, and your videos have been very impactful for people. They've made a big difference for people. The first one, as I recall, you were talking about how you made the decision that you would retire at 62.
Yeah, I started early. I was actually looking at, originally I was going to go to Thailand toward the end of 2019, and then welcome COVID.
Yeah,
And so I ended up going through quite a few things, and I decided to move to Mexico. Because, you know, Mexico never closed.
never closed.
Yeah, so I moved to Playa del Carmen for 9 months, always having in view that I would end up in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second video, now, if you guys don't know, Playa del Carmen is kind of a hot tourist spot, quite expensive. But
Yeah.
he was able to find an apartment. Most apartments start there around $1,000 or $1,500 a month, wouldn't you say?
Well, even for a studio, you're looking at probably $600, $700, $800, you know.
And you found one for,
I think it was $420.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was including
with
everything.
With a rooftop swimming pool and about a 10-minute walk to the beach.
And includes your electricity too, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I did. It was it's a combination of reasons, but even then things were expensive. But you know, it was right in the midst of COVID,
Yeah, it was that.
so my timing was excellent.
Yeah,
And the wonderful thing about that is there was nobody in Playa del Carmen. I was one of the only foreigners there because everybody was in the States. We're all locked down and
yeah,
you know, hunker down, as they say, and you know, stay inside and mask up. And I said, forget about it. I'm leaving.
you wanted to live.
And Mexico was it just played out perfectly because I'd already been there twice before scuba diving, and the master diver there said, well, if you really want to master diving, you need to come and stay for at least a month. And yeah, Ronnie's dive shop. And I ended up staying for 9 months, and I did over 100 scuba dives.
Wow. And you got like a master's cert and all
Well,
that?
technically, yeah, I got my master's certification as a master diver. Although it's funny, we never did quite get the paperwork done.
Okay.
So I can't officially, you know, pull up my card and say, you know, master diver.
Okay.
But I went through all the processes, and absolutely was amazing, especially the cenotes, those underground caves.
Oh, amazing.
But we did a lot of ocean diving in Cozumel and off of Cancun, and you know, we did a couple of the bull shark dives, and yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's the second largest reef, I think, in the world.
Yeah, that
isn't it?
reef system runs all the way down south past Belize, and yeah, next to the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal.
So you were there, and then you did again still want to go to Thailand, right? But it was still closed, so you went to Bali?
Well, yeah, at that point I kind of opened up my mind a little bit, and it was funny because I was looking for where to go.
Right.
And where I could go the soonest. And my daughter suggested that she had friends in Bali. She says, you know, Pa, why don't you go to Bali? And so I thought, you know what, let me look into that. Turns out, could get a business, what they call a business visa.
Right.
In Bali, and I was able to, once I found the right agent, I literally within 10 days was in Jakarta going through the quarantine hotel and all of that stuff. And then from there, it's, we actually I drove to Bali, which is another story in itself.
Wow.
No, I didn't fly.
Wow.
It was just challenging at that time. So, but the drive was beautiful. I drove across Java from Jakarta, and then took the ferry, and then drove the rest of the way from west to east, as it were, and then Bali, and yeah.
And then you did the same thing again. There you sourced these really reasonable cost of living life. It was 2 different apartments you did a great job on.
Well, yeah, and those who've seen those videos or go back and review them, it was absolutely amazing because just taking my time and working through the locals. Yeah. And not rushing to put money on something.
Right.
I say we because I had a companion at the time, beautiful companion, but we actually through her family and through relatives and through locals, found a house gated with room for, you know, an automobile if you had, or motorcycles.
Right.
And, you know, it was 2 bedrooms, actually 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, kitchen, and it was $1,000 for the entire year. You know, what did that work out to? Like $83 a month or something?
Something crazy.
And then the second one, you know, I went back to the States. As you know, I went back to the States for a few months to see my kids and my family, my grandkids.
Yeah.
And then when I came back to Bali, we're still in, this is all happening in North Bali, by the way. So those of you who know about Bali, Bali in the south region, you have Denpasar and all those famous areas that are more expensive too, usually. In North Bali, it's actually quite beautiful, but it's in the area called Bulalang or Singaraja, and I was actually in Lovina.
Okay.
And we found another house. When I came back, I started a new lease for a year in a place that was $600. And even the locals were shaking their heads. I'd meet. By that time, you know, COVID is over, and we're starting to get more foreigners. I would meet people, and they'd be bragging how they, you know, have a place for, you know, $400 a month or something, and I would almost be embarrassed to tell them. But they would be in a state of shock when I would tell them what I had.
Yeah, his is $600 for the year. So.
For 12 months.
Yeah.
So is that the normal? No. But is it obtainable? And that's the whole thing. If you go back, I recommend that they go watch that. Watch that video.
By the way, we'll put all 4 videos below. If you're a Bobby lover and you want to watch all his interviews, just click the link below. You'll see all 4 of them there. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's just like I say, and you say this, and I actually got a lot of the recommendations in my thinking pattern from Dan's, you know, his, you know, website and his YouTube. You know, that's. You know, how to get your feet on the ground, you know, and take your time, stay somewhere for a week or 2 if necessary, or even a month. And then take your time and seek out the one that you can really get the best location. Yeah. So I had the best of both worlds. I had the ocean here and the mountains behind me. And we'll get into it, but that's actually, as it turns out, what I have now in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Very similar.
So this is the 3rd country we've been in. You've heard Mexico, you've heard Indonesia, Bali, and now we're in the Philippines. Bobby's visiting us now in Dumaguete. That's where we're sitting. But he found an apartment in what he believes may turn out to be his favorite city in the Philippines. But he's going to explore it. But what city is it, and what was your new apartment?
Well, again, on your recommendation, I went to Baguio, Makati, and Baguio and Luzon. Then I went south, which was quite a long trip. 2 buses and a ferry. That's typical here, by the way, if you're traveling here. Puerto Galera, and it's not an inexpensive area.
No, it's not. It's a vacation area for not only Manilans, but also Filipinos, but also foreigners. You'll see foreigners there too.
So it was amazing how that worked out. You know, so I literally was staying at a hotel called the Casamia Hotel, which the owner was shocked when I was dropped off, and I showed him I had a reservation for 13 nights at his hotel with a swimming pool, air conditioning, breakfast included, for $105.
Yeah. That's crazy.
He said there must be a mistake. There had to be a mistake. Booking.com made a mistake, he says. And he checked it, and I had the proof of the reservation, and so he said, okay. But he said typically the room that I was in would have been $20-$25 because it's right on the, you know, off the main road
right
there, and then right across the road is a pathway. You're 150 to 200 yards down the pathway. You're on the beach.
Wow, that's great.
And again, the mountains were behind me.
Yeah.
And location-wise, it actually was better than the one I had in Bali.
Wow.
Yeah, a better beach, closer to the beach.
Right.
I'm also closer to the beach now than I was in Playa del Carmen.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I'm just a tsunami away from the beach, you know, so it's a safe spot.
Yeah.
But it was funny how it worked out. So I'm walking on the beach, staying at the hotel, and I was walking down the beach, and I ran into a lady that was a Filipino lady. She was walking up the beach, and we said hello, and we started to talk. And I was asking her if she knew maybe a good place for an apartment. I was looking for an apartment. Well, she says, I don't know if there's any vacancies at ours, but I live right up here. So we walked back together, and we walked past my hotel, and just a pathway right next to my hotel was the pathway to a fourplex of apartments, one of which was vacant. Huh. And she says, I know the landlady very well. Rose is famous. Rose is she owns that 𝗏𝐿𝐼's
that Italian restaurant?
Italian restaurant, 𝗏𝐿𝐼's.
On the beach,
so
yeah.
she's well known there.
Yeah.
So she says, well, I can talk to her and see if I can get you a good price, see what the deal is.
Right.
And everything just played out. I mean, I searched, I looked at about 5 or 6 places throughout 𝗵𝗵𝗄𝐿. So again, I was there 13 days, not just enjoying 𝗵𝗵𝗄𝐿, I was researching different apartment choices.
Right, right.
And the prices were anywhere from $12,000 for a not that great of a place to 18,000, 20,000 pesos.
Right, right.
A month. And I said, well, maybe I can do better. Let's hang in there for a little longer. I kept telling people, I'll think about it, I'll think about it. And in the meantime, I'm imagining, manifesting, I'm going to get this amazing deal. And as I said, that during that transition, I met that lady on the beach. And then I sat down with the landlady, and she made me an offer, and I said, let's have a look at it. And so we looked at it together, and really the only thing I did is I made a couple of demands. So shall I tell them how much I'm paying?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, 7,000 pesos. 7,000 pesos, which is about $128, I think?
Yeah.
Fluctuates a little bit, 128 to 130.
Yeah. That's per month.
That's per month, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, it's actually...
and by the way, I'll show you video. You'll be looking at video right now as he describes this place.
So as you can see, you'll see that it's got a big living room with couches and a comfortable chair. It actually has a master bedroom and a second little small bedroom and 2 bathrooms, a full kitchen and a half. So it's got a kitchen, and then they have what they I heard the term they use here, a dirty kitchen.
Yeah, dirty.
So you go through another door, and that's where you actually could do the cooking, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Big refrigerator, big fan, and so forth. However, there was a couple things that needed tweaked. They needed to do some upgrading in the bathroom. The hot water wasn't working, and the power was weak on the water.
Right.
And the toilet, the toilet needed a toilet seat. But you see, I could have got offended and say, no way. But I thought, how much a toilet seat can it cost?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I was told, just subtract it from next month's rent, right? Oh. And what I did is, she wanted a first and last. So she wanted 7,000 and 7,000, or 14,000. So what I did, I asked her, could I just give you 10,000 now? And once you have the AC, air conditioning working in the bedroom, and you have the other few things that needed to be fixed with the water and the hot water and so forth,
yeah.
Then I'll give you the other 4,000. And she said, okay. No contract, basically a handshake.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's great.
Sweet.
So you're quite good at this. And towards the end, I'm going to ask him a little bit about, Bobby has a consulting business, and he teaches people how to manifest their dreams basically in their life. So we'll get to that later, but he uses his own techniques to do this, and so we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But, so what is, do you have any idea yet what some of your other expenses might be? Because it's fairly recent.
Well, yeah, so I'm still in the process of working out the whole internet thing, which I don't want to get into that, but if you're here in the Philippines, you'll find out they call them brownouts, which is a joke, because what's the difference between a brownout and a blackout? I don't know. It means you don't have electricity or Wi-Fi for a few hours, but
yeah, instead of
because
a few days,
typhoons
maybe,
and storms and whatnot.
Right.
But in any case, I'm working that out, but that's going to be probably altogether maybe 1,200. In
right.
pesos for internet.
Right.
I think electricity will be right around 1,000 also, maybe.
Right.
But maybe less, because I don't run my AC that much. It's actually where I'm at. It's cool, but I'm actually insulated, because I've got the hotel on one side, right, and another building on the other side. You have a view from where I'm at, but it's kind of shaded. So my apartment, and I'm on the bottom floor. So it's the top 2 apartments of the fourplex that get most of the heat.
Yeah.
And so I only run my AC. I'll run my AC a couple hours in my bedroom, and I'll literally turn it off.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll be spending, they said maybe an average of 1,000 pesos, which would be what, about $18?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
something
most
like that.
people have like dual conditioners. They run it in multiple places. But if you have the right unit and you're more acclimated, you know, other people like you and we only use the AC in our bedroom at night, and not all night necessarily. Sometimes.
Oh,
only.
I'm very acclimated.
Yeah.
I went back to see my family in the United States, and I was cold. I'm telling you, I am not used. I am not used to cold weather anymore.
Yeah.
I love the heat. People complain if they're just here as a tourist, you know, maybe for, you know, in Manila or something, how hot it is. But
Right.
you know, if you're here, if you're in this environment for a few weeks and months, you do adapt.
Yeah.
And I love the heat now.
It's true. So, you mentioned you ultimately found the place on the beach, but you mentioned you saw 5 other places. So, what are some of the other things or You talked to locals, apparently, walking on the beach, and you've mentioned that to me before. Do you do any online sort of search? Do you look for signs? What are the ways you develop the stable of possibilities?
I did both. Most of them was word of mouth. I mean, but I did look online also. I always get that. Is it Sabang or the area there?
Oh, Sabang, yeah.
Sabang, yeah, Sabang. So Sabang is a really popular area for tourists and foreigners. Also more crowded, which I don't really care for, and also more foreigners, which, don't take this wrong, folks, but I love hanging out with the locals, and I don't move to a foreign country to hang out and meet foreigners. Although you meet a lot of nice people from all over the world.
Sure.
But in any case, I did that a little bit. I did some research online there, and I scoped out a few places, but most places were just word of mouth. The guy that I rented my motorcycle from, he showed me a place, which was unacceptable. I said, no, thank you. You know, and I also met the guy who owns one of the owners of the Jack Daniels apartments.
Okay.
I met him by 𝗪់waterfalls.
Okay.
Yeah, we just said hello and started talking. He says, yeah, I have a business in Puerto Galera. And I said, what's your business? I have an apartment. I said, oh, I'm looking for one. So I went and looked at his apartments. They were very lovely, but they were $14,000 to $20,000 a month. And again, I'm single. I'm on my own here. I don't need. I love a villa with a pool and everything as much as anybody else. But trust me, my location where I'm at, I don't have a swimming pool, but I'm really right by the beach.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, if you're flexible, that's the key. If you want to live right next to a supermarket and right next to a bar, and you know, right in the middle of the tourist zone, you're going to pay more.
Right.
But then again, I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
So my apartment is on the other end of Puerto Galera on the way out, going, I believe that it would be going west.
Yeah, it'd be west.
And so I'm just past White Beach. So if you look on the map or look at some of his wonderful videos about Puerto Galera, you'll see a place called White Beach. And it's lovely, it's cool. It's only 5 minutes from my house 5-8 minutes by motorcycle. But the next beach up is Ananuan. And there's nobody on that beach.
Yeah.
You can literally go down in the morning, run, walk, meditate, whatever you want to do, and there's might be one or two other people.
Yeah.
So anyway, so mostly by word of mouth, and I would go check the places out, and that's really the best way. I mean, if you look online, it's always going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, you got to have some kahunas, you know. I mean, most Americans and foreigners aren't used to bargaining.
Yeah, right.
So I always bargain.
Yeah.
I always bargain, even especially if it's a mom and pop apartment complex, and you know, you can't so much name your price, but you can. The one apartments, they wanted $14,000. I offered them 10, and guess what? They didn't take it. No problem. I wasn't that hot on that apartment anyway.
Yeah.
Because it was up in the mountains, not close to the beach.
Right.
It was newer. It had all a lot of good stuff, but in many cases you can actually get a better price.
Yeah, just
by asking.
Just by
asking. You have
asking.
to ask.
Yeah. You're just new in the Philippines, just a few months, right?
Actually, almost exactly 1 month.
1 month. Okay.
Yeah, I came on the 19th of June.
So what's your initial impression if you were to compare the three now? You've been to Mexico. now Mexico's a big country. You've been to the Bali, Indonesia, and now you've been here to a few places. What are your thoughts about the 3 different places? How are they different?
The Bali I loved immediately. The Philippines is kind of growing on me.
Okay.
And it's interesting. It's interesting. I would say there's a few more beggars here, unfortunately, depending on, especially Manila. And they're a little more persistent here.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm not saying that's a terrible thing. You know, that they have that in Indonesia too, any third world country. They have that in Mexico also.
Yeah.
The people are sweet. They smile a lot. The people are very friendly in the Philippines. It's a close call because, I mean, I could go back to Bali in a second heartbeat. I mean, but again, with the Philippines, I'm still exploring.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for my Bali, you know.
Yeah.
The closest thing, I'm not looking to repeat Bali, but you know what I mean. I'm looking for, again, the beach and the mountains. Puerto Galera is the closest I've found to that. But now we're here in 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏. This is my first time in 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗏, and it's actually cool here.
Yeah.
You know, there is something kind of nice about having a few more restaurants and a few more venues, and because there's so many foreigners here, the prices are higher here.
Right.
But I'm sure if I wanted to live here, I would get my low price. Don't worry.
Yeah.
It would just take me a minute.
Prices are higher for those that.
But no, I've had a good impression of the Philippines.
Yeah.
You know, there's already been a couple of typhoons, and they've been kind of skated the country. So we're in rainy season, but I was used to that. Driving a motorcycle in the rain is no big deal for me if I need to.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I would say one of the most noticeable things is the food. The food, and it's, if you've spent time in Indonesia, in Bali, and which Bali is Indonesia, and the rest of Indonesia, and also in Mexico, and even in the United States, you're used to spices.
Yeah.
And I would say that that's one thing that I need to compensate for is the food's not spicy here.
Right.
So I'm always asking for them to bring chili, and sometimes they don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, they'll bring you a little bowl with lemons and peppers, which is cool. So that's one of the things, I mean, I've talked about is I had a salsa that I used to make to a farmer's market called Bobby's Sweet Fire Salsa. I might bring my salsa back and market it here eventually because they need a hot sauce here. They need more spicy. Yeah. Even on the table, you know, like when you go to a Thai restaurant, they bring out the tray. Yeah. So you have a choice, spicy or not.
Yeah.
They don't do that here.
No, it's
so
they have more vinegar.
It's really a complaint. It's an observation, and I'm going to start cooking more at home.
Right.
So I'll be making my salsa for myself at home, and I'll start having more of the spices, and I'll be able to make. I'm not trying to replicate Indonesia or Mexico or America. So I do like. There's several things that I've tried here that are very good. Yeah. Yeah. So the food's good. But I miss the spicy food.
So what would you say about cost of living? Would you say they're all about the same? Is one higher, lower? What are your thoughts of that?
So Playa del Carmen is one of the more expensive areas of Mexico, but still Playa del Carmen was at least a third to a half less than America.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe half as much as typically, well, even now America's gone even higher, but I'm sure Mexico maybe relatively has gone up. Between Bali and the Philippines so far, and again, I've only been here a month, I'm really feeling that the Philippines is a little more expensive. Okay. A little more expensive.
Okay.
Not terrible. Maybe if I were to guess, maybe I have things about maybe 20%. Higher, generally speaking, here, right? Including housing and food and groceries, maybe 20% higher. Yet, Philippines is still going to be, cheaper than most of Mexico. Certainly, Playa del Carmen. Oh, sure. You've been all over Mexico and South America, so there's probably places in South America and Mexico that are comparable to the Philippines.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about whether you're in a larger city or you're in a smaller city, and whether you're trying to live the life you lived in the U.S. or whether you're more integrating with a local lifestyle. Those are really as big a factor of anything. You can move to most any city in Mexico and live crazy if you want to. But if you're careful, like you are, and you're watching where your spend is, and you're finding those little mom and pop restaurants, and it can also be very reasonable in Mexico. But I would say overall it's a little cheaper in the Philippines than Mexico.
Yeah. So that's how I would rate them. I would say, like here's the United States, Mexico cost-wise is here, the Philippines maybe here, and then Bali. Cheaper. And again, I apologize to Bali ahead of time if thousands of foreigners are going to start coming after they watch this. But they love the business. So yeah, go to Bali. They had a horrific time. I went to Bali, it was still COVID.
Yeah.
And so, God bless them that they're getting business now. They're making money again. So yes, go to Bali. Bali's amazing, by the way.
Yeah, and like Bobby said, he was in a smaller town, more locals there. It wasn't a big tourist area. And so keep that in mind. If you go to Bali now, or you go to Mexico, or you even come to the Philippines, and you go to somewhere like Boracay or Playa del Carmen, and you decide to go out and eat every meal and stay in a $200 a night hotel, you can run these numbers up. So you'll hear people say, you can't live here for this, or you can't live here for that. It depends how you're trying to live there. So we're talking about smart living, really, is what we're talking about. So
still a lot of places for me to see in the Philippines. The Philippines is it's over 7,000 islands, and so I still want to go to Palawan and Boracay, and I may even go to Cebu and Bohol this trip. So on my way back to Puerto Galera through Manila, it's a long story, friends. I'm thinking about, because Cebu is only maybe an hour from here.
Yeah. And
then Bohol maybe another hour. So I may do both of those. We'll see. Again, I've got to be discretionary, but it's going to happen whether it's this trip or maybe a month from now I might go to those places.
Yeah.
So many more places to see, and I'm sure I left some off the list.
Exactly. Yeah, it's never ending. I'm an adventurer.
How many places have you been to so far?
In the Philippines? Oh gosh, I think we have maybe 20 reports up about cost of living around the Philippines. So maybe 20 places. Robert, I said at the beginning that I would ask you about how you help people manifest whatever they want in your life. And the other day we were out to dinner, and you told a story about one of your clients. And she had these dreams of living in an American, I believe you said. She wanted to live in London. She wanted a high-powered job, and she'd been trying to do it for some period of time. And she had heard about you, how you help people manifest the kind of life they want. And now she lives in London and has this dream. So I'll let you tell her, what is it how's that work?
Well, that's just one of many experiences that I've had with assisting people to achieve their goals. I actually have clients in 45 countries.
Wow.
So over the last 2 years, through another website and a Facebook group that I have been, gratefully a large part of in developing, we've gone from 3,000 members to 55,000 members. And it's very, very, just to put it briefly, for those of you who might not be familiar, very similar to the law of attraction. If you remember, back in about 2006, the book and the movie came out, The Secret.
The Secret, yeah. So
it runs along that philosophy, although it's actually with a specific teacher, and his name is Neville Goddard. And Neville Goddard, he wrote 15 books. He did hundreds of lectures, most of which you can actually find on YouTube and listen to. But the basis for all of it is assuming the life that you want to have, believing that you already have it now.
Right.
So it doesn't matter whether it's a big job in London, it doesn't matter whether it's the life partner that you would like to have, it doesn't matter whether you're helping your kids overcome difficulties in their lives. If you want a better job, you want a better life, you want to make a big move like I did, because I applied it to my own life. That's how I got this life that I have now.
Yeah.
During the worst of COVID, I made all these changes. It all starts right here.
Yeah.
Right? So what you think about comes about.
Yeah.
If you can imagine it, you can hold it. And I truly believe that. And my experiences in life and with people I've coached show that it's true. It really, you can make it, you don't really make it happen. It happens because you believe it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a very, very brief summary. But I actually have been studying and researching his books and lectures for since 2009. And I read, study, and meditate every day. That's how I start my day out. So I predetermine my day.
That's nice.
Yeah, Dan, I know you meditate a lot also.
Yeah.
But when I get up in the morning, I already know how my day is going to unfold.
Yeah.
Sometimes in great detail, you know. But certain premises I have in my life is that I always meet nice people. I always meet people that are going to be helpful in my life. I always meet kind people. And I always have an abundance of love, joy, and kindness, health in my life.
Yeah.
So I don't need to think about, am I going to go to the gym today?
Yeah.
Right. I automatically take care of my health. Perfectly? By no means. I enjoy a cocktail of beer and so forth. But I don't, it just, you ingrain it into your personality. So just, I'm getting along on this, but basically, it's a reprogramming process that's connected to God. So it's both spiritual and practical.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we are programmed from childhood.
Yeah.
You know, through the societies we're in. And this is one of the reasons, like in the Western countries, they have this with all the politics and stuff going on, and the materialism and the advertising. We are just inundated with that from childhood.
Yeah.
And so you need to take your own control and purposely meditate and feed your mind on the right things.
Yeah.
And then things just open up for you. Things happen.
That's amazing.
So that's how it happens. And so I take, regardless of what somebody wants, the processes are almost identical. Yeah. Everybody thinks they're really unique, and I'm going to give them something, earth-shaking. But it's really a matter of knowing exactly what you want, writing it down, and actually recording it. I have people actually record it. Fall asleep to it, imagine it real, and it automatically reprograms you and sets your life on that pattern. So,
and some things in life are really too important to half-ass, if you will. And so, if you have someone like Robert on your team, I really think it'll help you accelerate, whatever your dreams are. And you're going to decide what they are. So, is there a way they can contact you? Can I put a link below, or how?
Absolutely. We'll add a couple of links.
Okay.
I'm surprisingly affordable. I mean, if you do book a coaching session with me, which normally they're either 1 week or a month or whatever we decide, but I used to actually charge a lot more.
Yeah.
But I'm keep it very modest, because I have a lot of clients in India and Africa and Bangladesh and countries where $100 is a lot of money.
Right.
So I would rather reach more people.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about. I'm fine financially. I'm not worried about making a lot of money. The joy for me is when I see somebody, or they call me and say, "Robert, guess what? I met him. I met her. Guess what? I got that job. I'm in London." So. That's where the joy for it.
And I know that feeling, because I remember when you moved to Indonesia. I'm in Indonesia, and I've come to the Philippines. So,
oh my God,
Robert, I really appreciate you coming on the channel again. You're just full of energy and positivity, and it's nice to be around you. So,
you guys are just a blessing to have as friends, and I'm sure we'll meet again, maybe in the Philippines again, or maybe somewhere else.
Absolutely. So after this interview, Robert interviewed me on his channel, which he started after this interview. Go over there now and take a look. And while you're over there, subscribe. He'll be talking about how to manifest all your dreams as he travels the world.